Support for Louisiana, the state we're in, is provided by
Entergy Louisiana is strengthening our power grid throughout the state. We're reinforcing infrastructure to prepare for stronger storms, reduce outages, and respond quicker when you do need us, because together we power life.
additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum, located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana, and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Thank you.
Economists warn that President Trump's tariffs will lead to soaring prices for many everyday products.
And it's Early Education Month. Coming up, we'll look at the wide range of learning resources LPB offers for families.
Louisiana is dealing with yet another cold snap. I will share some tips to help your gardens thrive even after the freeze.
And it's carnival season, and that means king cakes. We'll look at the seasonal treats history and how to make your own.
You ready?
Yep.
Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen LeBlanc.
And I'm Dorothea Wilson. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of Louisiana, the state we're in. But first, a political standoff between Governor Jeff Landry and New York's governor appears to be headed to court. Earlier this week, Governor Landry signed an extradition warrant for Dr. Maggie Carpenter. She's charged with violating Louisiana's abortion ban by shipping pills used for abortions to a woman in West Baton Rouge Parish. According to Governor Landry, the woman's teenage daughter was forced to take the pills, ending her pregnancy. New York's governor says she won't sign Landry's extradition order.
President Donald Trump avoided a trade war with Mexico and Canada, but escalated one with China. Last week, the Trump administration levied a 10% tariff on many Chinese goods. China is the world's manufacturing superpower with a global trade surplus of $1 trillion. Here's a look at how the trade wars could affect consumers caught in the crossfire.
China is the world's largest exporter of cars, the dominant producer of drones and solar panels, and the source of many affordable electronics that power daily life. President Donald Trump levied a 10% tariff on many Chinese goods to correct a trade imbalance with the United States in an escalating trade war with China.
So trade war is actually two countries that are coming together and basically trying to negotiate based on their trade back and forth. They do that through tariffs. And I know that we hear about tariffs, but tariffs really are taxes on imported goods. So goods that are coming from other countries into our country or into the domestic country. They do that basically as negotiating tools.
Dr. Dorian Williams is the Dean of the College of Business at Dillard University and an Associate Professor of Economics. The current trade wars are a top topic of conversation and instruction in the classroom. The Trump administration threatened, then backed down from imposing a 25% tariff on imported goods from Canada and Mexico, which leaders say would have been catastrophic for the economies of both countries.
As I have consistently said, tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, including food at the grocery stores and gas at the pump.
The Trump administration did go forward with tariffs on made-in-China goods. According to the latest data from the United States Census Bureau, in 2024, U.S. exports in China totaled $143.5 billion, while imports from China were approximately $438.9 billion.
Is it so bad that the U.S. imports so many items from China?
So the idea is that we're not creating jobs in the United States in which individuals could potentially work, right? So it starts to affect our unemployment rate. The other idea is that if that's the case, we have businesses that may move out of the country to be able to provide those goods, right? So does it hurt? It can potentially hurt. I think it's a combination of both the demand side, supply side, or consumers and businesses, right? The whole idea is for businesses to make a profit. The other idea is the other spectrum in which consumers are buying goods that they need at cheaper prices. We have to find what we consider to be the equilibrium price in which both are not necessarily fully happy, but they are equally happy.
The 10% tariff ultimately passes on to the consumer, who pays higher prices for made-in-China goods. E-commerce will also feel the pinch of higher prices in two ways: the 10% tariffs and the potential elimination of de minimis, a provision that eliminates imported goods valued under $800 from customs duties. Mega discount e-tailers, including Shein and Temu, rely on this provision to sell and ship products online to consumers.
So when you start looking at Amazon, and you start looking at places like, that provide that access, we're going to see them be affected and have to change their plan of how they get goods to individuals or how do they market to these individuals.
There has been a cooling off of inflation in the U.S., but some economists express concern that Chinese tariffs will heat up the economy again.
For a small period of time, you will see economic growth, but then when we start looking at costs going up, as cost goes up, we start to see individuals become discouraged because of the prices, or what we now hear, inflation beginning to really hurt our consumption of other goods.
The Trump administration's 10% tariff on Chinese imports took effect February 4, 2025. In response, China announced retaliatory tariffs of 10% and 15% on select U.S. goods effective February 10, 2025. The trade wars continue, with the consumer caught in the crossfire.
From hashtags to headlines, here's what's trending this week. The New Orleans Saints are looking to the future with a new head coach.
That is right. And what a breath of fresh air this is for everyone involved. Now, they signed a deal with former Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Now, he's fresh off of a Super Bowl win. Congratulations, Eagles. And that happened right here in New Orleans. Now, Moore had a 6-year run with the Cowboys and Detroit Lions, mostly as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, and guess what? At only 36 years old, that's crazy. He is the youngest head coach in the NFL. Moore has a long road ahead of him. Of course, we all know. First, he's got to rebuild the Saints coaching staff, and then, of course, the team's struggling offense. Well, he's got a big job ahead of him. We'll be watching and rooting him on.
That's right, and congratulations to you, sir, 2 times. Well, all right, superstar LSU gymnast and influencer Livy Dunn will lead the crew of Endymion Parade in New Orleans. Now, Endymion's captain says she's perfect. She's a perfect fit for the Grand Marshal because her spirit and energy reflect that of Mardi Gras.
Yeah, well, the super crew hasn't announced its king and queen yet, but they're known for featuring big-time celebrities. Now, Endymion rolls this Saturday before Mardi Gras on March 1st. Now, here's an interesting story. Scrim, that dog that is like the social media sensation.
The Tales of the Fabulous Scrim.
Right, well, so he's another celebrity that he's going to be featured in several Mardi Gras parades.
Now, we told you about Scrim before. Now, he's the dog that's known for his Houdini act. Oh my goodness, he escaped from his rescue home twice. Once by jumping off a second-story balcony, and he was finally recaptured this week, a little banged up, but healthy, Karen.
So Scrim has been named the Grand Marshal of the New Orleans crew of Barkus.
How fitting.
He won't be in the parade, but they will push along a big statue of him. Now, there will also be a Scrimmed theme float, actually several floats in this weekend's Crew de Vue parade, and another in the Crew of Muses parade.
Oh, got some good stuff we're looking forward to this season.
Scrim is everywhere. Whoa. Well, on to some good news. After Louisiana's historic snowstorm and freeze last month, a lot of people's yards are probably not looking so good, but don't panic. There are some things you can do to help your plants recover and thrive. I spoke with experts for tips on how to nurture your gardens back to health.
Chances are your grass is greener on the underside of those brown, dried blades.
When you look at this, you normally say, oh, it's all dead, and all. It really isn't. But if you rub it really hard, you can actually see that it's still alive. Now this is zoysia grass, and zoysia grass is very cold tolerant.
So it just needs to shed its dead blades of grass because you've got this healthy green blades underneath.
The record-setting snow that blanketed much of Louisiana froze many lawns and plants. The good news, all that snow insulated the roots of many plants, minimizing frostbite. If your azaleas, camellias, crepe myrtles, irises, and roses look like they've lost their blooms, LSU Ag Center horticulturalist Ed Bush says chances are they'll sprout new buds in due time. Case in point, this azalea plant.
You know, the temperatures got down to a single digit in Baton Rouge, which really isn't common. But what I'm seeing here is the flowers were burned and damaged. Actually, they died, but the leaves are perfectly fine.
Okay.
So yes, we did lose our flowers. We probably won't get another bloom till later or next year, but the plant is fine. So we're just gonna leave the plant alone, and we're gonna wait until probably February, and then we're gonna prune, and all those unsightly flowers will fall, and new leaves and flush will fertilize it. It'll be 100%.
Ed is taking me on a tour of the LSU Ag Center Botanic Gardens at Bird Museum and Gardens to share tips for helping plants survive and thrive after Louisiana's recent snowstorm.
In general, did most Louisiana outdoor plants and shrubbery fare okay during
In general, many did. Tropicals didn't. Some tender citrus, like limes and lemons, and even satsumas may have had critical damage. But overall, it came out pretty good, mainly because it was a wet cold. And having that blanket of snow really makes a difference.
So it almost worked like an insulator.
That, and also in this situation, if we look up, you can see the trees, and we call this a microclimate.
It's early February, less than 2 weeks after Louisiana's snowfall, and much of the garden grounds look brown with color peeking through. The landscape is a mix of freeze-damaged and hardy plants.
So let's talk about tips to winterize your plants and your landscaping, because winter's not over. There could be another cold snap for all we know.
One thing I really suggest to people is if you can mulch. But the next thing is to water before a freeze. A dry cold could be a lot more damaging than a wet cold. So I always tell people water before you wrap your faucets. Water them really well. If you can bring in tropicals, bring them inside or in the garage. That's really good. And then if you can't, and if you have something like a citrus tree or something that's tender and could freeze, maybe if you could cover it or protect it in some kind of way, that would help the plant survive.
The snow froze camellia blooms, canceling the annual Camellia Show held in early February and hosted by the Baton Rouge Camellia Society. The southern ornamental plants survived, but growers didn't have flowers to compete in the annual camellia contest.
So here we have a Camellia japonica. It's a little more cold sensitive. We call it tender, which means it's a little more susceptible to cold. And you can notice that unfortunately, we lost a few of the flowers. And it's really upsetting a little bit when you wait all year and they're blooming and it freezes. But it's okay, because here we have a new bud coming. So we probably lost these buds for 2 or 3 weeks, but then we're probably gonna see some new buds. And there may be a little speck or two on it.
Tropical plants didn't fare so well during the freeze. This banana plant looks lifeless, but Ed advises having patience with pruning the dead leaves because it could prematurely cut off viable tissue, stunting growth. Plus, the remaining stems help protect plants from more cold weather damage.
These are very tender, they're tropical, and they're ornamental types, and some of them are really collector's items. They have some hybrids that are worth a little bit of money. So in the future, don't be shocked if you get cold damage. It's very common.
We end our tour at a flower bed unscathed by the snow. It's an example of strategic plant purchasing, planning, and cultivation.
I love their bed preparation. They mounded it up, good drainage. They selected really good species, sasanquas that are really tough. And look at the flowers. This is after snow and ice, and these are adapted. This is what happens when you choose the right plants for the location. And they mulched it well. They have irrigation. So I look at all those things, and when you do that, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And that's what I like. I like choosing plants that are well adapted for the site that you plant them.
In a few weeks, it's time to prune the rose bushes, and soon spring arrives, greening gardens and lawns again. The growing cycle reminds us all that every plant has a season, and cold snaps, they can be Mother Nature's way of keeping it all in balance.
The cold wasn't a bad thing for all plants. That we really needed some chilling hours, like for blueberries and for persimmon and peaches. And those plants, they need something called chilling hours. And without those, we may not get fruit. So it wasn't all bad. It may not have felt good to us. We might have had fun playing in it, but for plants, it's actually essential for some species. So yeah, we got some damage on some plants, but for some plants, it actually was a good thing.
February is Early Education Month in Louisiana, and one of LPB's main missions is providing learning opportunities for young kids. With a wealth of educational programs and resources, we want to make sure kids have the tools they need to grow and thrive. Here's a look at some of the educational tools we provide. I am here with Nancy Tooraen, and she is our Education Director here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting. How are you, Nancy?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you now, Nancy. This month is Early Childhood Education Month, and I'm so excited about the work that we do here with LPB, with education being such a big part of our mission. Talk to me about what we do and how do we help these kids?
Well, Early Education Month is every day for us because we're 24/7, 365 days of the year. Mm-hmm. You know, we have the PBS Kids 24/7 channel that is available to all kids statewide, all families, and that they can get that whether they have cable vision or not. So that's free over the air, 24/7. So that's a really exciting thing for families in Louisiana. PBS Kids offers resources for children ages 2 to 8, and they offer it anywhere, anytime, so you can access these resources whether you're online, broadcast, or on your mobile device, so kids can get these resources in their hands at any time.
Awesome. Well, I love that. What other programs do we have for the little kids?
Well, we offer 5 times a year something that we call our Play and Learns. Ooh. And these are little 15-minute videos that we produce for families to watch together to learn how to play and learn together. Mm-hmm. So it usually consists of a hands-on activity. We do cooking, we read books, we might play a PBS Kids game, or we'll watch a little video clip. So we learn lots of things during our Play and Learns, and it gives families something to do during the holidays when kids are bored.
Mm-hmm. Now, I love that because early childhood education or early education is really crucial for our little kids. It talks to them or teaches them cognitive skills, physical activities. It also helps them to better associate and communicate with their peers. So I love that we have so many programs to help them during those crucial developmental stages of their lives.
We also have newsletters that we send to parents and educators each month, and we also highlight early childhood resources in the newsletters for parents and teachers. Mm-hmm. We also have a texting program from parents called Bright by Text. Okay. And you can access Bright by Text by going to lpb.org/BBT. Okay. And parents can sign up their kids. It's according to their age and the zip code. And you get developmental text messages on your phone about your child. Nice. So it might be a message about health, or it might be a message about something local going on in the community. It might be an educational resource. But we have thousands of parents who use this service in Louisiana, and parents really appreciate the text that they get to help them be better parents.
I love that. Utilizing technology in this digital age to engage parents and our students that we're serving and learning. I love that. Now, I know that we are heavily involved with early childhood education, but we have some programs for the bigger kids too. Talk to me about those.
We have developed some family and community learning workshops around our puppet show, Ziggy's Arts Adventure. Ziggy! And these workshops enable families to come and have fun together and learn all around Ziggy, all around the Ziggy themes. So we're real excited that we've developed these workshops. We've partnered with the Louisiana Department of Education to train facilitators who go out in their communities and do these workshops with families. And we are expecting to have 750 families experience these workshops. So we're very excited about this.
Yes.
And we also have created content on PBS Learning Media, which is a digital educational library for teachers, for parents, and for students. And we have content from our documentary, Why Louisiana Ain't Mississippi.
Ooh, tell me about that.
So we have a collection of videos up. We have 6 videos that are taken from the documentary that have educational purpose to them. We have lesson plans, we have student guides that go with them, and these are all accessible on PBS Learning Media for free for teachers and families.
Well, I love that. Nancy, it was such a pleasure speaking to you today and finding out all of the fantastic things that we do right here at LPB for our students across the state. And like you said, Louisiana ain't Mississippi. Some of that airs in other states too. So we're impacting more than just Louisiana.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. King cakes are a key part of carnival season. If you don't want to wait in long lines for your favorite brand, why not make one at home? I visited Eloise Bakery in Baton Rouge to learn how to make king cakes and learn more about their history.
Following Christmas and New Year's, it might feel like a lengthy wait until the next holiday filled with enjoyable meals or desserts. Then we recall Mardi Gras, particularly the king cake. Even those who haven't visited New Orleans have likely spotted king cakes in their local bakeries, starting in early January. Although we often link Fat Tuesday and king cake with beads and booze, the cake tradition actually originates from Three Kings Day, a celebration that occurs 12 days after Christmas. But what exactly is a king cake? And what is its history? Allow me to explain. I spoke with Madeline Burr, owner of Eloise Market, and she gave me all the details and even walked me through how to make a king cake of my own.
The king cake actually represents the kings that brought the gifts to baby Jesus for the Epiphany. So it's only celebrated after King's Day, which is January 6th every year. You'll notice that it's in the shape of an oval typically. That's because that's the path that the 3 wise men took to distract King Herod when they found baby Jesus. There's also always a little baby figure hidden inside that represents the baby Jesus as well. And then we eat this all the way through until Ash Wednesday, which begins Lent, where we begin fasting and praying and preparing for Easter.
King cakes originated in Europe to celebrate the Catholic Epiphany, a day that commemorates the visit of the 3 wise men to baby Jesus, who brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. In the 1870s, the French brought the tradition to Louisiana, and today it is closely associated with the French Quarter, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, and everything else we cherish about New Orleans. Now that we know the history of the king cake, let's make one.
We have our sweet dough here, and it's already been risen on the first rise. So what we need to do is we need to take it down. We're gonna roll it out. And we also want to flour this as well. So just the same thing, a pinch, and kind of just rub that around to make sure it doesn't stick to our rolling pin.
Okay.
Then we're just gonna simply start back and forth, taking our time. And I'm just gonna give you one big roll.
Okay, thanks.
I know. I practice a lot.
Okay.
All right, now that we've done that, we're gonna add our cinnamon sugar. So we have our cups right here. Right here we've got equal parts white sugar, brown sugar, and cinnamon because we love really cinnamony king cakes here. So what we do is we put the entire cup.
Oh, all right.
It seems like a lot, but you gotta trust me here.
All right.
We're just gonna spread that around. Now that we've got that spread around, we're gonna roll her up. But the very most important thing is that we get the longest log possible. So we want to start at the long edge. And we're just going to roll it over just like so. And you'll notice you're losing some on the way, which is why we put so much. Now what we need to do, we need to shape our king cake. So we're gonna do a little oval today.
Okay.
And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck one side under the right hand side. And we have a nice little oval. And then we're gonna let them sit for about an hour and a half on the counter, wrapped up real nice, so that they can start to rise again. We're gonna bake them at 350 for about 20 to 30 minutes. So, now that they've come out the oven, we're gonna go ahead and put our baby in.
Okay.
So, what we need to do is we're just gonna lift them up gently, and we're just gonna shove that baby right in from underneath. Yep. And there they go. Now we're gonna start icing them. So you'll grab your spatula and we're just going to, you'll notice that the icing is very thick. The king cake's super warm. So they kind of work really well together, letting it gently melt off. So now we've got our sprinkles. So we've each got a set of sprinkles. Yep, we've got all the colors here. So we've got our yellow, which is signifying our
power.
Yes, exactly right. So I like to do some stripes.
Oh.
But you can do it however you like. It's your king cake, of course. And now we've got our Mardi Gras king cake. Bam,
Mardi Gras
just like
mama.
that. Yes. There you go. And that is our.
Everyone will follow.
Yeah, that's our Louisiana king cake. So yes, ready?
Yeah.
Makes you want to do a little dance. This is really good.
So Dorothea, was it hard to make? Be honest.
You know, it honestly wasn't hard, but I think if she were not right there, it would have been a lot harder. Oh, but it was so good, Karen.
And pretty.
Ooh, very pretty. Oh,
Congratulations.
I loved it.
You should have saved me a piece. Shame on you.
I got you next time.
All right, girl. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our LPB app.
That's right. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs you've come to enjoy over the years. And please, like us on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Karen LeBlanc.
And I'm Dorothea Wilson. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Support for Louisiana, the state we're in, is provided by
Entergy Louisiana is strengthening our power grid throughout the state. We're reinforcing infrastructure to prepare for stronger storms, reduce outages, and respond quicker when you do need us, because together we power life.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum, located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And by Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Visit Baton Rouge. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Thank you.